Year 2 has arrived for Rivals of Aether 2, and what better time than January to take a stab at predicting everything that might be coming to the game this year. And I'm not just talking about the characters, nah, we're gonna do it all. Characters, monthly events, modes, the whole 9 yards. But let me just clear the air. This is my third iteration of this script. The release of Workshop in January pretty much shook up everything that I had been ready to predict, because I had no clue that it was coming this soon. I'm definitely glad to have it here, and I'm excited to take a stab at making a character of my own eventually, but I had to hit the books and revise all of this. So now, barring another insane announcement in the next couple days, I'm ready to give you my take on what might be coming to Rivals 2 in 2026. So come, join me, and share your predictions, so we can all laugh at how wrong this is going to be in a couple months. Or maybe not. And hey, before we get too far into this, if you're interested in supporting me and the channel, go use my creator code BlueBubby in the in-game shop in Rivals 2 to get yourself a little bit of extra bonus currency on any real money purchases. That's just the name of the channel. Your support goes a long way in bringing more content to the table and letting me know that you're enjoying seeing Rivals stuff here, and any uses of the code are extremely appreciated. Now, into the real predictions. In January of 2026, we got the release of La Reina, the Crowd Magnet, as well as La Lucha Infinita event with skins for Lorena, Crag, Galvin, Rano, and Edelus. We also got the release of Workshop Beta, which is still insane to me. I thought that this would take until at least April or May to get this out there, so seeing it so early makes me think that maybe Aether Studios really does have more tricks up their sleeves than I originally thought. I think that the release of Workshop this early on in the year is really going to feed into the mentality that they want to add more casual content and support to the game this year, with an added focus on fan-favorite playstyles and characters that will appeal to new players. So I think that this really sets the tone for the year in my book. January is already kind of spoken for, but instead I'll give you a January 2027 at the end to make up for it. How about that? Okay, for real this time, February. I think February is going to be a big month for Rivals 2. With Genesis X3 taking place on February 13th to the 15th, it's extremely likely that this first major tournament of the year will fall hand in hand with the reveal of our second DLC character of 2026. We already know that items are going to be coming to the game real soon, and with the addition of Workshop, we can see that the item animations are already implemented and required for Workshop characters. It's extremely likely to me that our item character is going to be announced in February, and I would put money on the fact that we're going to be seeing the return of Malo from Rivals 1. If you're not familiar, Malo's closest equivalent is probably Snake from Smash, being a projectile zoner with a wealth of different explosives to choose from. His multitude of different bombs would be perfect to implement as throwable items, as well as giving the opportunity for more advanced counterplay to this strategy by catching and throwing the bombs right back at him. Now, I know that there's a big part of the fanbase who think that Anyi is going to be our premier item character, but I don't buy into it at all. Not that I don't like her, I mean, Dreams of Aether was really fun, and now that they own the rights to this character, she could feasibly come to the game. But I just don't see them dropping her this early on into this year, right after what is essentially another brand new character to the game. Yes, both were Workshop characters originally, but I just don't see it happening. Plus, we don't know if she'd be fire or air or be slotted in there in No Man's Land being the element of surprise. I just don't buy into it. If we're getting an item character, to me, it's definitely gotta be Malo, and there's little to no wiggle room there. Malo will be announced to be releasing in March, on March 3rd, 2026, coinciding with the monthly patch. The only character who hasn't been released at the beginning of a month so far has been Edelus, which feels a little bit like a special circumstance to me, as they probably had a little bit more work to do before he was ready to drop at the start of January of 2025. I think they're definitely going to want to be targeting the start of the month for new character releases from here on out, and releasing so soon after Lorena is going to give them a lot of momentum to keep fans coming back really early on into the year. As for February's monthly event, I don't see a world in which we don't get a rerun of Lovestruck, or some sort of other Valentine's Day event here. For Lovestruck 2, I imagine we'll see a new rare skin for Zetterburn, Rano, and Maple, and probably a free skin for Olympia, which would mark her first free event skin ever. It was kind of difficult to come up with Lovestruck skins, especially since the first years didn't really follow a concrete theme, and we already have the single essential one with Cupid Fleet. I'm thinking this could maybe be something like Waiter Rano, and maybe just some well-dressed skins for Zetter and Maple. Maybe something like date night themed skins. I could see a Lovestruck Zetterburn turning his flame particles into hearts, as well as a giant heart for his shine, which would be pretty funny. For the free Olympia, it could be as basic as changing her gem color, maybe Jeweler Olympia or Birthstone Olympia. Her crystal particle could be heart-shaped as well, if it's not too much trouble to make it. You know, something basic. For the epic skin for the month, I think Lovestruck is loose enough that it doesn't really need a tie-in, so the epic skin this month can be something totally different. Clarence still hasn't received a bundle epic skin since Halloween of 2024, so I think it's high time that she gets a new one. And since this one doesn't really have to tie in, I'm thinking she could get something like a Fencer Clarence skin, complete with fencing gear. It's pretty basic, but I think that they could make it something pretty cool. Oh, and Genesis is big enough that we're probably going to get another skin for it this year, just like last year's Genesis Orcane, but I don't want to predict who it's going to be since it may or may not have leaked already, or at least been heavily hinted at. March's patch will drop on March 3rd, 2026, and it will feature Malo's full and free public release alongside the release of Item Mode. I think Item Mode will start out super basic, only having some throwable items that mimic base cast mechanics. Something like an item that sets you on fire, an item that puts you into a bubble, an item that freezes you, etc. I don't think they're going to do anything more complicated than Smash's Beast Ball to start, but I think they'll add items throughout the year as they focus more on casual content. With Malo's release, we're also very likely to see a new stage skin, since every character post-launch has gotten a dedicated stage theme. Edelus and Absas were just already in the base game. For Malo, I predict we'll see the return of Neo Burning Rail from the first game, or some kind of variant of it remastered in HD, probably over Air Armada. When the platforms come together, it almost mimics the platform layout of the original stage, and they could have this platform be on some sort of gear shift to animate it separating. Around the time of a new character kicking off the next competitive season, we're likely to see a champion skin for Olympia release, since they've been going in release order and she's next in line. The crystal emphasis will obviously be around her gauntlets, but past that, I imagine it'll look exactly how you expect. I also think it would be really cool to give the champion skin some extra weight by releasing gold themed and maybe silver themed too palettes based on your competitive rank. So if you reach gold rank, you'd be eligible to either receive for free or, more likely, purchase it with ranked medals to get a gold palette for the champion skin. Rivals 1 did something pretty similar, where reaching gold would net you a gold palette for the base skin, but ranked palettes make much more sense here on the dedicated rank skin, don't you think? I don't think they'd do palettes for platinum or anything above that, since they don't really want to alienate most players, but having the palettes cap out at gold, and again maybe giving one for silver as well, to make it more accessible, would give players something to strive for in ranked and give those ranked medals an extra use. March will not see a rerun of Aether Legends, sadly, and will instead feature a brand new event, being a steampunk themed event. When it comes to picking out event themes, the first year's events all tied into the Kickstarter skins that were released, and at the start of 2026, 3 event themes from this original batch still remain unused. A steampunk event could tie nicely into Bandit Maple's theme. Originally, I did want to go with something a little bit more generic and crime-like, but I couldn't think of a way to make 5 skins that weren't just carbon copies of this outfit, so steampunk it is. A steampunk event would have to feature a rare skin for Malo, since he just released, and they'll want to make that sweet skin money off him as soon as possible. Something along the lines of a more fantasy-centric bomb design, or magical-looking explosions could be really cool, along with a steampunk outfit and a top hat. I'd give the other 2 rare skin slots to Clarin and Olympia, since I think they could fit really nicely into this theme as well. Clarin with steampunk-inspired tech fueling a magical sword, and Olympia sporting big, steam-powered gauntlets just like Vi from League of Legends. Honestly, I just think getting as close to that outfit as possible on Olympia would be great. As a free skin, Zetterberg's steampunk skin from Rivals 1 could make a return, much like Pool Party Rano did last year. This could be as simple as giving him more clothes and making his fireballs gray to resemble smoke, or if you want a more detailed steampunk Zetterberg, then just swap him with Clarin and make Clarin free here, since I think large portions of her default outfit and cape could probably be reused for a steampunk skin anyway. And for our epic skin, it's gotta be Galvin. I'd love to see what they could do with a steampunk Galvin, especially since he has so many moving pieces on his body. Seeing him become like a lower tech machine or something like a train could be really impressive here. I'm not really sure, but I would just love to see what they can cook up. Since we just released another character last month, April is going to keep things pretty basic, and just be another monthly event. Just like last year, April's going to be reserved for another Lovers event, of course, and maybe another Rivals presentation, where we could see the event reveal and get a tease that Aether stages are nearly complete and coming soon. I think they're much closer to finishing these than we think, and even if not all of them are complete by April, we may get a batch release this month or next month, with more following later in the year around late summer or early autumn. Our free skin for the Lovers rerun is almost certainly going to be Lovers Rano. We've known since before launch that this skin is finished, since it appeared in multiple trailers and has been on ArtStation with the other launch skins, so I was super confused when it didn't come out in 2025. It's time for this skin to drop, and I think it's been done for long enough that it's okay for the free skin to be a rare skin this time around. Our 3 new skins in the Lovers Bundle will be Orcane, Absa, and Loxodon. Absa, returning from the first game, will match pretty closely with Books substituting in as her Cloud. Loxodon made a pretty prominent appearance in last year's Lovers-themed showcase, so he'd be sporting his red Principal's outfit. They could even replace his axe with one of those pointer sticks that teachers use, or a paddle if they want him to be a dick. Orcane then is self-explanatory, because I think it's really funny. People will probably expect another humanoid character to get this slot, but I think giving him his hat, jeans, and sweatshirt from this look would be hilarious and keep him quadrupedal. I'm sure this would be tough to get working with his animations, but hey, that's why it's a paid skin. Lovers did not get an epic tie-in skin last year, and I don't think it'll get one this year either. Sorry to the Lovers Forsburn fans, maybe next year. Instead, we still have one of the base cast who hasn't gotten a new epic skin since launch, being Fleet. For just a random Fleet epic skin, I saw a really cool idea about giving Fleet a skin with some Eastern design elements, which I really like. I'm no artist and I'm definitely not an expert in this area, but some characters that I think could be great sources of inspiration for an epic Fleet skin would be something like Kiriko, Ari, Amaterasu, and this Kabuki Hanzo skin from Overwatch. Again, I don't really have any major ideas for this one, but if you were to just make her like a white fox and give her some spiritual energy elements, I think that the fans would eat it up, and I know that I would as well. Also, in April, I think there's a high likelihood of seeing another plushie coming out, or at least getting announced through Aether Studios, since it's been a while since we've heard anything on that front. I think they're really going to focus on their most marketable characters first, especially since Orcane was number 1, so I'd say it's either going to be Crag or Zetterburn, but my money's on Zetterburn. He's always felt like the pseudo-mascot of this game to me alongside Orcane anyway. Whoever it is will absolutely be receiving another plushie skin, only available through buying the plushie, but I think they'll go for a totally different vibe this time instead of the yarn theme that they did for Orcane. May is another nothing month, since I think the earliness of Malo's release will create a gap in terms of major announcements for the game, and they're definitely going to want to save a character announcement for EVO in June. Instead, we're going to get a rerun of the Springbound event, since I think the 4 seasonal events are almost guaranteed to get a run every single year. Springbound, like Lovestruck, is a pretty loose theme, and looking at last year's Springbound skins, I think they'll be pretty loose fitting again. I predict that the bundle will include skins for Robin Hood Fleet, or if that's copyrighted, then maybe just another generic green archer hero fleet. I don't really know. I also think they'll do Bunny Absa and some kind of Spring Spirit Forsburn. I think they could just make it smoke blue and spirit-like and give him like a flowery outfit and call it a day there. I am so bad at coming up with ideas for that guy. Bunny Absa I think would be really funny because they could just map the bunny ears as replacements for her horns, and we don't have a proper Easter Bunny skin in the game yet either. For the free skin this month, I threw Orcane in here since his free skins are usually pretty easy to make. I'd love it if they took inspiration from his Grassroots skin in Rivals 1, where he eats dirt. This brown and green skin was tied to Grassroots Gaming League, which hasn't really been anywhere to be seen for a couple years, so I don't know if they want to reuse that exact name. Making like a mud Orcane skin or a muddy Orcane skin with a flower sticking off his head would be a nice little nod for me. Instead of a tie-in skin for spring this month, I think they're going to release their first ever legendary skin, which we already know is going to be Renburn over Zetterburn. They said they needed some time to polish up the skin and get it ready and updated before launching it, and I feel like this is plenty of time to drop a newly voiced skin for their flagship character. This is a good holdover for the gap in character announcements, since even though they won't have any moveset changes, the first legendary skin might drum up some extra interest and news from the dedicated fanbase during this gap. There's a good chance that this is the only legendary skin that we'll get all year, but I think there's a chance we might get one other depending on some scheduling things. In June, we will likely get another brand new event theme. Pool Party, the flagship summer event, will likely wait until July for the middle of summer, so we could put literally anything in June's slot. So I did. I think a medieval or high fantasy themed event could be extremely fun for the Rivals cast. For the bundle, I picture Knight Clarin, a dragon themed Galvin, and a rogue class themed Forsburn. For the free skin, we could just throw Edalus a bone since he hasn't gotten a free skin yet, and bears are a pretty classic enemy in this setting. Just make him like a brown bear, and if you want him to be more of a character than a generic enemy, then give him like a bandana or something and call him a fighter. For our epic skin this month, I'm really proud of this one. I think we could get a really sick Executioner Lorena skin. Her stocky build fits the frame of the stereotypical Executioner type of character, You can give her chainmail and the Executioner's Mask, as well as a giant axe on her back of their model that she'll just never use. And for her chair, even though it's a little bit out of the time period for the theming, I think it would be hilarious if it was the electric chair or something similar. I think there's a lot of really fun ways you could do this as Lorena's first ever epic skin, and I think that this theming would make it worth the wait. June also marks the appearance of Evo, potentially Rivals 2's biggest showing of the year. It's a bit early this year compared to its typical July period of time, but there's no way they'd go without a character reveal at Evo of all places. This is where we're going to learn about our summer character, DLC 3, who is almost certainly going to be Slade from Dungeons of Aether. Slade was basically seen as a shoo-in character last year before we were told that there were going to be no more Dungeons characters in year 1, so he's almost guaranteed in my book. If we look at the newcomers that we've gotten from this game so far, and I mean the real newcomers, so not you, Lorena, we have one for air, one for fire, and one for earth, which leaves the water element as the only one consisting only of veteran fighters still. Tie in the fact that Slade has an assigned voice actor already in the Orcane trailer and a wealth of moveset inspiration, this is our DLC 3. There's no doubt in my mind. They'll announce him at EVO with a quick turnaround for a July release to try to get as many new spectators into the game as possible. Slade will likely sport a sword fighting playstyle, but with no tipper to set him apart from Clarin. It's time we got another swordy anyway, and I can see him pulling an item or two from his bag of tricks, just so that the item implementation doesn't all go to waste on Malo. Sword fighters are a very popular playstyle in other platform fighters, and this reveal will keep new fans excited. Although he's probably going to be decently heavy as well, and taking into account how many heavies we have compared to non-heavies, we're going to need to start lightening up this load. Oh well, he'll be a popular pick for fans anyway. To coincide with EVO, I'd call it a given that we're going to get another EVO-themed skin to pair with EVO Olympia, although I don't think it'll be nearly as cool. Olympia seemed like she got it because she plays into the fighting game design tropes really well, so I'd guess we may see a similar EVO Lorena skin this year for our signature grappler. Along with these, I predict we'll see the return of the Twitch drop campaigns, at the very least for Lorena and Malo, who will get their purple palettes made available publicly. I'd love it if they did everybody again, since Edalus and Absa still haven't gotten theirs officially, but who knows. It kinda seems to me like they forget all about the Twitch drop palettes, or maybe it's just harder to get these Twitch campaigns up and running than I think from the outside. Either way, I'd like to see them back. July is Pool Party month, and it also marks the release of Slade to the game. This will also probably coincide nicely with the Steam Summer Sale, giving new players a chance to come in at a pretty nice discount around the time of a new character release, when player counts are highest. I also think that with the release of Slade, we may even see a brand new stage release. New stages were discussed last year a good bit, and while they've alluded that they may add an FD equivalent again, it won't be coming to the main competitive pool. If this is true, I think that the likelihood of 2 new stage layouts in a single year is pretty unlikely, especially with Aether stages happening sometime this year, but who knows? If a new layout does come out, Hyperborean Harbor is getting the boot, and if not, then I think a new stage skin for Tempest Peak, taking place on the back of a pirate ship with the platforms raising and lowering by a rope, would be a pretty fun concept for Slade. He's undoubtedly getting something stage-wise though, it's just a matter of seeing what it'll actually be. Pool Party already has a lot of skins, which limits the pool quite a bit if we want to keep giving skins to new characters, but I think I came up with a couple good ones. Slade, obviously, will be getting one, as is customary every time a new character is added. He's got a pretty nice Pool Party outfit already in Creatures of Aether, so they'll likely just bring this one over exactly as is in the bundle. I also think it would be really fun to get Pool Party Edalus back from Rivals 1, but instead of being just a recolor this time, maybe we can give him swim trunks and sunglasses. I think that'd be pretty funny. Instead of having his ice cream taunt come back, I would love it if they made the ice effects multicolored like Sherbert, if that's not too much work. And for our final bundle skin, I gotta give it to Lorena. I'm not sure how they'd want to design this exactly, but I imagine that she'll be going maskless, especially since they have support to show her eyes currently in skins. I also think it would be really funny if they made her chair look like a beach chair. That's mostly why I picked her. For the free skin, I would love it if they brought back Pool Party Crag from the first game, who was mostly just a recolor, but throw in a sandy shell texture and maybe a pair of sunglasses, and that would be enough for me to keep this as a low effort common skin. For the epic skin this month, I don't really think that Pool Party needs another tie-in skin, so instead I'd love to give it to another legendary skin, being the return of Ragnir Maple from Rivals 1 in collaboration with Brawlhalla. This is a stretch, but it was a really fun collab in the first game, and while I'm not a big Brawlhalla guy myself, I think that legendary skins are a great way for Rivals to get in some collabs with other indie titles. I do feel like it's a little unrealistic for this to come out so close to Renburn in the schedule, but this was the only slot that I had open for another high tier skin like this. I do think that 2026 will be where we get to see Rivals 2 collab with some other indie games beyond the basic animation versus icon that we have so far. Multiple other indie games have hosted some other Rivals content in the past, so I would love to see Rivals return the favor again soon. I could realistically see a collab being done with Combo Devils, but without a release date currently in the books, I figure bringing back the Ragnar Maple would be a fun alternative too. In August, I think we'll see the return of another held back event, being Wasteland, to tie in with Wasteland Forsburn. I imagine this being a very Mad Max themed event, which I don't have much experience in beyond the initial vibe, so just bear with me. I think we'll see Wasteland skins for Fleet, Claren, and Loxodon, all of whom would have weaponry created from scrap metal, as well as raggedy, torn clothing and metal armor. For Fleet's weapon, I'm imagining a pretty similar construction style to Valorant's Wasteland gun skins, and for Claren, I think it would be fun if she just had a crowbar instead of her laser sword, straight up. For Loxodon, I think you could either go with some sort of fantasy fire-powered axe, or the much funnier route, which would be having him use a stop sign instead of an axe. I just think that whacking people with a stop sign would be hilarious, and it would be an instant purchase for me. For the free skin, it's really easy to give Raster common skin since we can just do other birds. So I think something like a vulture Raster with a ripped up scarf would be pretty cool, or if that's too much effort, then just a crow or a raven with a darker color palette would be pretty good. For the epic skin, I think it's time for Malo to get one, since remember, it's been a few months at this point since he's released. A Wasteland Biker Malo would be my pick, taking heavy inspiration from Ghost Rider in my mind. I think that his default look already accomplishes the Wasteland theme decently well, so I just want them to amplify it with some torn leather clothing and maybe a cool hat. That's all it would take for me. Now I know Slade just released in my schedule here, but August is likely when we'll see Supernova take place, if it is happening this year. I think that would be a great place to announce our final DLC character of the year. So far, our cast has leaned pretty heavyweight centric, and the CSS has filled up on the fire and earth elements, leaving water and air in the dust. Not that they can't just adjust it themselves again, but I think it's time for a new air character to make their mark. This could be an entirely new air character, sure, but I think that 2 full newcomers in a year, especially this early on, is a little ambitious. So my very biased prediction is that we're going to see the return of Palm. Sorry to Snake Facts guy, I know a lot of people want Eliana in this game, but I don't. She is interesting from afar, but the idea of fighting her in this game makes me want to hurl. Also, back to being serious, I do think that Rivals 2 is starting to really accumulate a heavyweight problem. Heavyweights are fun, I get it. I love heavyweight characters, not just in this game, but in all platform fighters. And I really like that Rivals establishes that they don't always have to be low tiers, but we really need some lighter and midweight characters now. Malo will likely tend towards upper midweight, and Slade will likely be around Orkane and Lorena weight-wise, and we really need to thin out this cast a little bit. Hodan would fit this slot as well, but again, it'd be Monkey. Palm solves all of these issues for the roster. She'd be a lightweight air character who is easy to understand for new players, whereas I truly do believe that bringing back Eliana and Sylvanos would alienate newcomers to the game. And when the game is already slightly struggling for player retention, the game needs to focus hard on retaining the casual player base with fun, dynamic, and easy to understand characters. You can get crazy with the last remaining vets next year, but for now, it is mouse time. For September, we will likely see another brand new event theme. The last of our remaining events from the Kickstarter themed list is Scarab Crag, possibly being some sort of Egyptian themed or architectural event, but hear me out. I don't think this is going to be the one. My conspiracy theory is that the Egyptian themed event was scrapped. I think that Mummy Maple was supposed to be one of the skins for this event, as were those temple themed icons that just randomly showed up in the shop one patch. All of these look like they would go together, but the icons are what's really throwing me off. Why randomly drop these with no tie-in and no fanfare if you're still going to do this event? That's because they're not. The event is definitely scrapped. So instead, I think we're going to get something totally new. For September, I predict we'll see the release of Palm, alongside a tie-in event themed around music or band dynamics, just like we saw for Lorena's release. Also, this kind of ties in with Rockstar Crag too. Yeah, we can look at the miscellaneous epic skins for reference for event themes as well. Palm obviously gets a skin. Probably a pop star look or a K-pop idol design or something crazy. I don't know. This character is going to print money for skins. It's the Luna Snow effect. You could sell 1 million outfits for her and it's going to make you bank. For the other 2 rare bundle skins, I predict we're going to see Raster and Forsburn. odd choices? Sure, but hear me out. A drummer Raster would fit his laid-back personality pretty well, but what I really want is to see him clap two cymbals together for his forward smash. This would be so extremely funny, especially with a really loud noise. And for Forsburn, maybe a bassist? We have vocals, drums, and guitar already, so this could fit. Maybe his dagger could be like a huge strumming pick. I'm not sure again, but I think Forsburn is due up for another rare skin here soon, and I'm really bad at coming up with ideas for him. For the free skin, I'm throwing in Claren. It could really be anyone for this event, but I think it would be funny to make Claren show up here and explicitly not be part of the band. Maybe she's a triangle player, and instead of a sword, she has the little metal wand that makes a loud metal chime when it hits. Or maybe she can just be a fan or a groupie. That'd be cute. Our epic tie-in skin this month goes to Slade, who still hasn't gotten an epic skin since his release in July, and we really don't want to keep the fans waiting. He could be a conductor, replacing his sword with a large baton, which, despite being for the wrong kind of band, would still be a pretty funny idea and match his demeanor pretty well. I also considered doing a bouncer Lorena here instead, but I've given her too many skins already, so that was a no-go. Also, for Palm's release, they'll likely do another stage skin, which is just an easy layup to do Neo Jules Veil and have it return exactly as is, as one big stage, hologram Palm in the background and all. This audio track is just too good to pass up, and it would work really nicely with this monthly event in my opinion. And if you hate this, that's fine. You can bump this and Palm's release to January's event, and I think it fits there just as well. But September's event is the biggest blind spot of the year in my book, so excuse my Hail Mary. October will obviously be another Halloween event, but with so many Halloween skins in the game from the last 2 years, what's even left to do? The pool of available characters is shrinking, and so is the pool of spooky subject matter. Seriously, we've covered almost every kind of classic monster. But did you know that all of the Halloween skins so far have been ports from Rivals 1? That being said, there's a few left to port still. Up first in the bundle, Ghost or Kane. I'm not sure if they'll do a sheet Ghost, which would be adorable, or maybe make his body translucent, which would be really cool but maybe not okay competitively. Either way, this one is a lock. The second one is going to be Plague Doctor Raster, which I think could look really sick with a reimagining in this game where he always keeps the plague mask on. They could make the bird underneath a crow or a raven too, to keep with that horror theming. Finally is Werewolf Olympia. While not being from the first game itself, Werewolf is the last of the classic horror monsters not to be featured by this point, and I think that Olympia makes sense as a good target. Whether her gauntlets are the big furry claws or she gets shaggy fur all over, I think that this one would be sick. For the free skin, it's going to be Pumpkin Crag, again from Rivals 1. Of all the skins left in the first game, this will be the easiest to port by far, which makes it a pretty good fit for a common skin. Just make his shell pumpkin-like, and maybe his horn a stem, and bam. Easy free skin. Halloween has gotten an epic skin for the last 2 years, so this will be no different. And from the pool of remaining characters, I want to go with Loxodon as a Grim Reaper. A scythe over his axe and a big flowing robe could make for an awesome look over this character. And being an epic skin would let them make something super cool out of the magma, such as smoke and spirits rising from the dust. I'm kind of stealing Shovel Knight's Valor here, but hey, he's not gonna need it. November for the last 2 years has been the low poly event, which I've mentioned before I'm not the biggest fan of, but it seems like it's here to stay as a November staple. So far, 8 characters have gotten low poly skins, all veterans from Rivals 1, and I feel very strongly that low poly skins should stay reserved for veterans of Rivals 1. I just think that's a cool bit of synergy, so get out of here newbies. So this year, we're giving it to Malo, Maple, Lorena, and Absa. She's the free one. Malo would be great for the special effects, especially if they could implement cartoon bang graphics over his explosions, or low poly 2D bomb graphics. Maple and Reyna would be great for their multitude of articles, which could look pretty cool in the low poly style, like how Edalus did for his ice. And Absa, despite having to model a new Cloud, would be basic enough to be given away for free, at least in my opinion. And as a nice little touch, they can give her old lightning colors for this skin. Low poly never gets an epic skin, so we're free to do something totally original here. This is most likely where Palm, or whoever DLC 4 is, will get their first epic skin. Again, for Palm, you could do literally anything. An elaborate singing idol skin would be pretty cool, or a digital skin, or they could do some kind of clown or wedding skin. I'm mostly just kind of thinking of popular female skins in other games, since this truly could be anything. Whatever it is, it will print money, and I'm gonna buy it. And finally, December, the end of the year. December's holiday event will almost certainly be another Winterfest. This year I think we're going to see Elf Maple to pair with that Elf Claren, as well as skins for some new characters like a Nutcracker Slade or a Caroler Palm. Elf Maple finishes off the characters from this Rivals 1 promotional artwork where they've been pulling from so far, and the other two cover classic winter themes that I haven't seen been done yet for characters who do need more skins. The free skin I'm giving to Raster because I love giving him new bird skins. What about Partridge Raster, and maybe they'll give a Pear Tree respawn platform to boot? Or, if they don't want to do that, then you could do Dove Raster and just make him totally white. Either way, you're getting a bird and you're going to like it. And for the final skin of the year, it's going to be another winter-themed epic skin, just like Hockey Locks and Yuletide Galvin before it. And who better than Edalus? Yes, he did kind of get one in the 2025 year outside of the winter bundle, but hear me out. Ugly Sweater Edalus. His ice is yarn that he puts on the stage, and his ice armor makes his sweater grow bigger and uglier. And maybe he knits himself a hat and earmuffs too? All of this extra effort is befitting of an epic skin, and I just think that this would be super funny, and I can't let this idea go to waste. December is almost certainly going to see the reveal of 2027's first DLC character, who's almost certainly going to be a water or air character. As much as I'd love to see Sylvanos or Guadua return, the roster is becoming super unbalanced by this point, and they gotta work it out. Now, the well is running low on returning vets, and any of these could work, but I think if we've just done 2 years of 3 vets, it's probably high time for a brand new character, new to the lore of Rivals. Last year they gave this outline of trying to do 50% veterans, 25% lore newcomers, and 25% fully original newcomers, which is a cool idea, but I and a lot of other players really want more of a focus to be put on returning veterans. While new characters are cool, the veterans cover very specific niches and playstyles that are already beloved by many. This isn't a hard set rule either way, and new characters are neat, but I'm definitely okay if this shifts into being a 75% veteran split with 25% new characters like it did in 2025. But yeah, Year 2's first character is probably going to be a brand new air character, preferably not a heavyweight, and if that's not to your liking, then swap this newcomer and Palm. Either way, Palm is coming. Mark my damn words. It's likely that we'll see Hodan soon after, before getting the last 2 Rivals 1 vets as well. Their complex mechanics and movesets would be big drawing points for players later into the game's life, and I wouldn't be surprised if characters like Eliana saw big reworks before coming back. But again, that's far future stuff. So, in conclusion, I think that in 2026 we will see the release of Malo as our item character in March, Slade as our complete newcomer announced at EVO and released alongside a summer event, and either Palm or an air newcomer to be announced as DLC 4 at some kind of major tournament in the fall. The dates for tournaments this far out are still pretty vague at this point in time, and I'm not even sure Supernova is happening this year, so if it's not there, it's definitely happening at another big tournament in the fall season. I also predict that these characters will coincide with new stage skins each, maybe with the addition of a brand new stage layout in place of Hyperborean Harbor in the competitive pool, which does break my heart because I absolutely adore this stage. Event-wise, I predict we will see reruns of Springbound, Pool Party, some Halloween event, Winterfest, a Lovers event, and Rivals 3D as absolute locks, and it's super likely that we'll see a rerun of Love Struck in February. I also think that we'll see events that tie into Bandit Maple and Wasteland Forceburn this year, but that Scarab Crag will mysteriously not have an event present at all due to being scrapped behind the scenes. This setup will leave us open for 2 new brand new event themes, never before seen, which I'm taking a shot in the dark at being medieval and music themed, because I would really like that. Alongside this, I think we'll see a couple tournament skins, as well as silver and gold palettes for the champion skins, just to round out the palette collection a little bit more. And that's my half prediction, half wish list for Rivals 2 in 2026. Please bring back Palm. I need her in this game so damn bad, and if things start looking too bleak, I'm gonna have to start putting my head down and learning workshop so I can get someone to game and watch her in here as a 2D sprite. Sorry for the lack of uploads recently. Life has been hella busy through December and this month as well, but I'm starting to settle back into the standard routine now that things are calming down, and I hope to be able to pump out some smaller videos here soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you around. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this little prediction, I hope you'll take a look at some of my other stuff on the screen now, and let me know what you thought about this one. I'd really love to hear it. Thanks.